Imagine a young boy, lost in the woods. The trees tower above him, their branches intertwining to form a canopy that blocks out the sky. The forest is dense and every direction looks the same, making it impossible for him to find his way out. His heart races as he realizes he is truly alone. The sun begins to set, casting long shadows through the trees. The once vibrant forest now takes on an eerie glow, with the fading light creating a sense of urgency. The boy knows that soon, darkness will envelop the forest, making his situation even more dire. Fear grips his heart as darkness closes in. Every rustle of leaves, every snap of a twig sends shivers down his spine. His imagination runs wild, conjuring up images of unseen creatures lurking in the shadows, waiting to pounce. He feels alone and afraid. The weight of his isolation presses down on him, making it hard to breathe. He hugs his knees to his chest, trying to find some semblance of comfort in the midst of his fear. We've all experienced moments like this. Times when we feel lost and overwhelmed, unsure of which way to turn. Moments when the world seems to close in around us and we are left grappling with our own fears and uncertainties. Times when worry and anxiety cloud our minds, leaving us feeling lost and overwhelmed. The weight of our troubles can feel unbearable, and the path forward seems obscured by a fog of doubt and despair. In these moments, it's easy to feel like we are carrying the weight of the world on our shoulders. Each step feels heavier than the last, and the journey ahead appears insurmountable. The burden of our worries can make us feel as though we are trudging uphill, with no end in sight. Psalm 31 speaks to these very emotions. It is a passage that resonates deeply with those who have faced the darkest of times. The words offer a sense of understanding and empathy, acknowledging the pain and fear that can grip our hearts. It's a psalm of David, a man who knew what it meant to face trials and tribulations. David's life was filled with challenges, from fleeing from enemies to dealing with personal betrayals. His experiences are a testament to the resilience of the human spirit. He experienced betrayal, fear, and despair. These emotions are vividly captured in his writings, allowing us to connect with his struggles on a deeply personal level. David's honesty about his pain provides a sense of solidarity for those who read his words. Yet, in the midst of his struggles, David found solace and strength in the Lord. His faith was a beacon of hope, guiding him through the darkest valleys. Through prayer and reflection, he discovered a source of inner peace that transcended his external circumstances. His words offer us a roadmap for navigating our own dark valleys. They remind us that even in our most troubled times, we are not alone. There is a path forward, illuminated by faith and hope, leading us out of the darkness and into the light. David's psalm begins with a heartfelt cry for help. He doesn't sugarcoat his situation or try to appear strong. He openly admits his vulnerability, pouring out his fears and anxieties to God. "In you, Lord, I have taken refuge. Let me never be put to shame. Deliver me in your righteousness." Psalm 31, verse 1. David's words are raw and honest. He acknowledges his need for God's protection and guidance. He doesn't try to face his troubles alone. Like David, we can approach God with complete honesty. We don't need to pretend or put on a brave face. He already knows our hearts, and he welcomes our vulnerability. David's plea for help is not a desperate cry into the void. It's a declaration of trust in a God who listens and cares. "Turn your ear to me, come quickly to my rescue, be my rock of refuge, a strong fortress to save me." Psalm 31, verse 2. David envisions God as his rock, his fortress, his shelter from the storm. He finds comfort in knowing that even when life feels chaotic, God remains his constant and unwavering source of strength. We too can find refuge in God's presence. He is our safe haven, our protector, our ever-present help in times of trouble. David's faith in God is not passive, it's an active trust that leads him to take action. "Since you are my rock and my fortress, for the sake of your name, lead and guide me." Psalm 31, verse 3. David believes that God will deliver him, not because he deserves it, but because of God's unfailing character and love. He trusts that God will lead him to safety. Therefore, David is filled with hope, even in the face of adversity. He knows that his circumstances do not define him, for he is held by a God who is greater than any challenge he might face. David finds immense comfort in God's steadfast love. It's a love that never fails, never wavers, and never abandons. How abundant are the good things that you have stored up for those who fear you, that you bestow in the sight of all, on those who take refuge in you. Psalm 31:19. David recognizes that God's love is not just a feeling, it's an active force that manifests in tangible ways. It brings protection, provision, and peace. God's love is a constant source of reassurance for David. No matter what challenges he faces, he knows that he is deeply loved and cared for. Even in his confidence, David experiences moments of doubt. The weight of his troubles threatens to overwhelm him. My life is consumed by anguish and my years by groaning. My strength fails because of my affliction and my bones grow weak. Psalm 31:10. These words reveal the depth of David's struggle. He feels the full weight of his pain and acknowledges the toll it's taking on him. We too may experience moments when our faith wavers, times when doubt creeps in and threatens to steal our peace. Then, just when despair threatens to consume him, David remembers the source of his strength. In the midst of his trials, he feels the weight of his burdens pressing down on him, almost to the point of breaking. The darkness of his circumstances seems overwhelming and he feels utterly alone. But in that moment of deep despair, a glimmer of hope pierces through the darkness. He shifts his focus from his problems to the one who holds the solution. Instead of being consumed by his troubles, he lifts his eyes to the heavens, seeking the presence of the Almighty. He knows that his help comes from the Lord, the maker of heaven and earth. As he kneels in prayer, his heart begins to lighten, and a sense of calm washes over him. But I trust in you, Lord. I say, you are my God. These words become his anchor, grounding him in the midst of the storm. He opens his hands in a gesture of surrender, releasing his fears and anxieties to the one who is in control. The ancient scrolls remind him of the promises of God, promises that have stood the test of time and remain true. My times are in your hands. Psalm 31:14-15. This declaration is not just a statement of faith, but a profound act of trust. David acknowledges that every moment of his life is held in the hands of a loving and sovereign God. The ancient manuscripts of Psalm 31 serve as a testament to this enduring truth, a truth that has provided comfort and strength to countless generations. David chooses to place his trust in God, surrendering his worries and anxieties into his capable hands. This act of surrender is not a sign of weakness but of profound strength. It is an acknowledgement that he cannot face his challenges alone, and that he needs the guidance and support of the Almighty. As he lets go of his burdens, he feels a deep sense of peace and tranquility. In doing so, he finds peace amidst the storm. The chaos around him may not have changed, but his perspective has. He now sees his circumstances through the lens of faith, trusting that God is with him and will see him through. The calm sea after the storm symbolizes the inner peace that David experiences, a peace that surpasses all understanding. We too can experience this same peace when we choose to trust in God's plan and timing. Just as David found solace in the presence of God, we can also find comfort and strength in our own times of trouble. By coming together in prayer and supporting one another, we can remind ourselves of the faithfulness of God and the power of community. Even when we don't understand, we can rest assured that He is working all things for our good. The serene landscapes and peaceful figures remind us that there is a greater plan at work, one that is beyond our understanding but is always for our benefit. As the sun sets over the ancient landscape, we are reminded that there is hope and peace to be found in trusting God's timing and His perfect plan. David emerges from this difficult season with a renewed sense of strength and resilience. He has learned that true strength is not found in our own abilities, but in our dependence on God. Be strong and take heart, all you who hope in the Lord. Psalm 31:24. David's message is not just for himself, it's an encouragement for all who face trials and tribulations. He reminds us that we are not alone in our struggles, and that God is always with us. His words inspire us to face our own challenges with courage and determination, knowing that we have a God who fights for us and strengthens us. Remember the boy lost in the woods? Picture him wandering through the dense forest, the towering trees casting long shadows, and the eerie silence broken only by the rustling of leaves. His heart races with fear and uncertainty, each step feeling heavier than the last. The forest seems endless, and the boy feels a deep sense of isolation and despair. Imagine his relief when he finally stumbles out of the darkness and into the arms of his loving parent. The warmth of the embrace, the tears of joy, and the overwhelming sense of safety and love wash over him. It's a moment of pure, unadulterated relief, a return to the comfort and security he had longed for during his ordeal. That's the kind of refuge we find in God. Just as the boy found solace in his parents' arms, we too can find a sanctuary in the divine presence. In times of trouble, when the storms of life rage around us, we can turn to God for shelter and protection. His presence is a haven, a place where we can lay down our burdens and find peace. He is our loving Father, waiting to embrace us with His comfort and peace. No matter how lost or broken we may feel, His arms are always open, ready to welcome us back. His love is unconditional, and His comfort is boundless. In His embrace we find the strength to heal and the courage to face our challenges. Psalm 31 reminds us that no matter what storms we face in life, God is our refuge and strength. The ancient words of the psalmist echo through the ages, offering us reassurance and hope. They remind us that we are never alone, that there is a divine presence watching over us, guiding us through the darkest of times. He is our rock, our fortress, and our ever-present help in times of trouble. Like a mighty fortress that stands firm against the onslaught of enemies, God's protection is unwavering. He is our stronghold, a place of safety where we can find refuge from the trials and tribulations of life. In His strength we find the resilience to endure and the faith to persevere. Therefore let us run to Him with open hearts, seeking His guidance, protection, and unwavering love. In our moments of doubt and fear, let us turn to Him, knowing that His wisdom will light our path and His love will sustain us. Let us approach Him with humility and trust, confident that He will lead us through the storms and into the light. In His presence we find hope, healing, and the strength to face whatever tomorrow may bring. The peace that comes from being in His presence is profound, a balm for our weary souls. It is in this sacred space that we can find the courage to move forward, the hope to dream again, and the strength to overcome any obstacle. Let us cherish this refuge, knowing that in God's embrace we are always home.